That's my job.
I want to do it.
No, it's my job. Welcome back to SA Wine Weekly. I'm your host, Nathan Goat, and this is my lovely co-host, Holly Wine Lover.
Wine lover? I'm still a wine lover.
Well, you're
yeah,
back
I really do.
after your
wine.
performance the other week. You're
That's
back
true.
back
I'm
to
back
wine
to.
lover?
I downgraded again.
I'm back to host. Even
Fine.
though, let's tell the people about what we're actually doing this
Well,
week.
yeah, we had a bit of an excursion this week, which was really fun and surprising. Completely turned out how we didn't expect.
It was almost a little bit scary, wasn't it?
It was.
Because how did we get in there?
I actually have no idea.
Well, we were
We kind of worked our way.
We were stalking Karina, because we love stalking Karina.
Yeah.
Karina Wright from Oliver's Tarango, fabulous winemaker.
Ooh, I haven't tried her wine, but
Was that a hint?
it was definitely
As a hint to get Karina on the show?
Yeah.
And we might have actually filmed her while she didn't know
She
about
had no
it, so
idea.
Excellent, trying to get in the locked door. And her husband, Dan, makes a mighty fine beer too.
Perfect.
From Swell Brewing.
Beer for
Hint,
you,
hint,
one for
Dan,
me.
Dan, come on the show.
Both of you?
But we stalked Karina. We knew she was there. So we've rang up and said, can we come?
We
And
did.
Much to our amazement, they let us in.
Let us in. No idea what to expect. It was my first wine show, so... Yeah,
Behind the scenes?
Behind the scenes. Had to be really, really quiet. Except you talk too much.
True. And I got
Too loud.
in
You got trouble.
for my aftershave.
Yes.
I've never been to a wine show. Have you been to a wine show?
I haven't been
Did
to
you
a
know
wine show.
how-
I had absolutely no idea what to expect.
I was
Because you do. You hear about wine competitions.
Yeah,
and
well,
people getting medals
you see
and
the medals
awards.
on the bottles.
And yeah, I had no idea what to expect. So walking in there, it was like a, first time. I was really excited. But it was like,
Shh.
yeah, very, very quiet.
So it was one of the oldest wine shows in South Australia. Around
This is true.
about...
It's about 140 years ago.
You made that up, didn't you?
No, I
Yes, you
would
did.
never make
Yes, you did.
anything up,
Anyway.
ever.
First of all, there was only ever 2 wines entered. 2 categories, 2 winners.
Ah.
It's this year's adult show bag pavilion.
Yes.
Was full of wine. And how good was... We've got to shout out to Nick Ryan Wine.
Oh, he was awesome. Such a nice guy.
He was, wasn't he? And he was actually nice to me for once too.
I
Not just
know.
nice to you. So, he was a great bloke. So what we've done this week, something totally different. We're going to educate the viewers on what actually happens in a wine show. You see the gold medals, silver, bronze medals on the bottles. Maybe you buy them in the bottle shop because you see the medals, you know the wines are good. But what actually goes into it from behind the scenes? Anyway, have a look. See what you think. This is, I guess, our version of behind the scenes at the Royal Adelaide Wine Show. Hope you enjoy.
Welcome to SA Wine Weekly. Nathan and myself are at the Adelaide Royal Showgrounds for... What are we here for, Nath?
Royal Adelaide Wine Show.
Did you say Royal Adelaide Wine Show?
Royal Adelaide.
Wow.
Shh.
Shh.
Very
It
quiet.
is very, very quiet. Not sure if we're allowed to talk.
I'm not actually sure if we're allowed to be here.
Not
So,
sure.
I thought
Totally
we'd just
winging
come,
today.
Film, have a look, something different for the show.
It's very serious stuff going on in here, Nathan. Wow. This is really cool.
Very, very
This is awesome. And I feel like we may get kicked out. Whoa.
Nick studiously, we've got a lot of space out here, but this year with COVID and stuff, we decided to use.
Yeah.
Yeah, wow. No, it's a good idea.
Cool.
Wow.
2,800 wine.
This is awesome.
Confidentiality.
Just one of the tables over there. It's more just because,
Yeah.
it's all blind judging.
Yeah, no, perfect.
If we tell
Thank
anyone,
you.
they'll kill us. Is that what
Pretty much. It's what it says in fine print. You just can't read it.
First of all, how cool is this place? So we are here with Nick Ryan at the Royal Adelaide Show.
Royal Adelaide Wine Show, yeah.
Adelaide
the
Wine
specific part
Show.
of the
Yeah.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about yourself. I feel like
Okay.
I'm with a bit of a VIP here, a bit of a
Say that.
wine guru.
Look, my name's Nick Ryan. I'm the Deputy Chair of the Wine Show Committee. As part of the
Cool.
Royal Agriculture and Horticultural Society of South Australia, venerable old institution, the people that run the Royal Adelaide Show. And as part of all of that, we run the Royal Adelaide Wine Show. So This year it's kind of interesting because, normally we're getting in here just after the Royal Show is finished. There was no Royal Show this year, so we've had a little bit more time.
Yeah, it's a little bit different this year.
In this space. So this space is actually normally the show bag hall. Like for those people that come to the Royal Adelaide Show every year, unrecognisable now as the show bag hall. Some people might say it's fantastic when it's full of chocolate. I reckon it's even better when it's full of wine.
Yeah, this is definitely my happy place.
Yeah. So this is our...
It's the adult show bag.
Exactly.
So this is our sort of back of house staging area. So where all the wines that are entered into the show. How many did we get this year, Jonesy?
2850 or thereabouts.
2,850 entries. We're up this year.
That's
We're one
crazy. And is this just all of Australia?
Yeah, so
national...
the Royal Adelaide Wine Show takes wines from all over the country. We're one of the few capital city wine shows that went ahead this year. So many of them were cancelled because of COVID. Because we have a little bit more freedom here in South Australia, we were able to get the show up. So our entries are actually up. Back here, broken up into something 60 odd different classes based on variety. We've got 30 something judges in there. What have we got? 6 panels of 3 judges and 2 associates each, plus Louisa Rose is our chair of judges. So 5 days of judging to get through
5 days,
So,
wow.
yeah.
So you have to get through all of this pretty much that's in here?
Yeah, we try and keep them, each panel, down to a sort of a maximum of 120 wines a day. It starts to get a little tough when you start getting into numbers like 150, 160 wines a day.
Yeah, I bet.
Back 50 years ago, and this show's been going for, something like more than 100 years. It's one of the oldest wine shows in the country. They would do 200, 250 wines a day, and it's just not really conducive to good judging, we think. So we try and keep everyone down to about 120 wines a day. Over 4 days, and then we'll do trophies Friday morning with the cream rises to the top and the very best wines of the week.
That's amazing.
All slug it out for the big trophies at the end of the week.
Wow, I wonder who's going to be the winner.
Well, wait and see.
Ooh, have
Wait
to
and
find
see.
out.
These are tightly held secrets. And,
Yeah.
if we were to let you know, we would have to shoot you.
You would have to shoot me, yes. Yeah. No, so I better not.
No,
I'll keep quiet. I'll be good this
Let's
time.
keep it bloodless at this stage. That'd be good.
Perfect. And with the wine tasting, do you have food pairing?
No.
Do the judges have food pairing, or does she just taste straight out?
Oh, you'll see out on those judging tables some very glamorous paper plates with cheese cubes and olives on there.
Well,
but that's
cheese and olives, very, very important.
Yeah, they do work, but that's more a palate management tool rather than any sort of gastronomic treat. It's really about things like the olives. We put the olives out there because if you're tasting a whole bunch of quite tannic red wines, like the tannin builds up in your mouth over time. So you might end up having tasted 15 quite tannic red wines. The 15th wine might be the least tannic of the lot, but because there's been this residual build-up of tannin in your mouth, you're not getting an accurate picture of the wine. So we use things like olives just to break that tannin down.
It's a fun little tip.
And
wow.
just so you're freshening the palate, recalibrating the palate, to push on further into some of these big red wine classes.
There you go. Do you hear that, Nathan? I expect olives on every wine show from now on.
But it's more about just judging the wine in the glass in and of itself.
Do you want to show me a little bit of the process and what kind of happens? I would love to see some judging. Yes, please. Perfect. Come with us. So tell us a little bit about where we are now, because I can see...
Okay, Holly, so this is again part of our staging area. So you'll see these tables have...
Letter A.
Letter A. So this is the staging table for panel A. So
this one goes out first? Or is...
Oh, no, they're all just sort of going at different speeds, different rates, because they've all got sort of different size classes.
Okay.
They judge at different speeds. So this is just us ready for, we know what they've got next.
Yep.
So this is us, we just get the wines ready for them here. So, once we know that they've finished judging the class they're doing now, and they break out to sit down and discuss the top wines, and they'll call back the top wines and discuss those, we can start getting ready to go and pour their tables again, get their next class ready, just to try and keep them moving. There's a lot of wine to get through, so the more efficient we can be, and the more prepared we can be for when they're ready for us, the better. So when they come back, say a class of 30 wines, they might get half a dozen wines out of that they want to have a closer look at and discuss as a
So
group.
they have a discussion about it.
They all
Wow.
judge individually, and then at the end of judging that class, they come together. They all compare their scores, and then that will give them the wines that they think are worth a bit more discussion. So they will
So
come
involved.
back. They randomise these callbacks, so we then take them out to them, so they don't know that it's wine 6 and wine 9 and wine 15 or whatever that they've called back. Well, they'll get them back as wine A, B, C, and we'll randomise them. It's actually all done now by computer. Wow. And so, because that's important, because it just removes any of the preconception from that first round of judging, and you're looking at the wines again fresh and a slightly different.
Had a bit of a
context.
break as well in between.
Are they still pushing themselves through those really great wines? So that's really important.
So I imagine this takes quite a bit of time, like in terms of each section, like to really.
It does. A class of 40 wines would probably take you about sort of 2 hours to get the whole process. Whole process done. So that's why, like I said, when we're trying to get 120 done in a day, we've got to keep them moving.
So what have we got back here?
All right, Nathan, so this is class 68 and 69 of the show. These are our Provenance entries, which is slightly different to the way the rest of the regular wine show is judged. So a Provenance trophy is where a winemaker enters the one wine, but 3 different vintages of that wine. So they enter their current release of that wine. They enter an example under that label that's at least 5 years old, and an example of 10 years or older.
So same wine?
Same wine.
10 years, 5 years and the recent one?
And the current one. So whereas the rest of the show we're just judging a wine at that time, with the Provenance classes we're looking for a narrative arc through the life cycle of a wine. So we're trying to see wines that have a real pedigree, and that you can see that there is a connection between those 3 wines. They have the same sort of personality, the same spirit, the same soul, and so it's a really fantastic way to judge wine. And the Royal Adelaide Wine Show was the first wine show in the country to introduce a Provenance class. Now every wine show in the country has a Provenance class, but Adelaide was the first.
So everyone copy does.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
So
if you're onto a good thing,
that's been happening for a very long time.
Yeah, that's fine.
That people follow the lead of the
well, if it's a good idea, you may as well.
of the game-changing Royal Adelaide Wine Show.
Yeah, fair enough.
So that's currently being judged now. We bring in a separate panel for that. So the 3 judges that are doing the Provenance class come in and just do this particular class.
Yeah, that was going to be my question. Is there a does it matter what variety?
No. So you can enter, and we know that things like Riesling, age beautifully.
Yeah. Well, obviously it's got to age well. But,
yeah. So the white wine classes will have a lot of Riesling and Semillon in there. I think there's a bit of Chardonnay as well.
Yeah.
And then the red wine classes are a lot of your classical red wine styles that we know have this ageability as well. It is interesting that in recent years the white wines seem to have performed better in these Provenance classes, and it's a bit of it's one of these sort of truisms that evolve around wine shows, that often old whites beat younger whites, young reds beat older reds. It's an interesting way to see how these wines perform in a wine show context. But I think there's pretty strong performance from the white wines again this year. Some fantastic reds as well, and hopefully those judges.
Do we know how many entries altogether?
What have we got there? There's 13 entries in the whites, and 29 in the reds. So what's that, 42? It's a really interesting way to judge wine, and it's a whole different process. Whereas you're normally just judging the one wine in a class when you're judging conventionally. When you're judging these Provenance classes, you're having to look at 3 different wines as one sort of holistic entity. So
it's a great idea.
It's a good mental exercise. And
you know
it's
what
great
it
fun
is?
to judge.
It's a great idea for SA Wine Weekly show, the Provenance show, where we get 2 different wineries with. Thanks for that idea. Well, we're going to copy it.
That's an idea. Trademark by the Royal Adelaide Wine Show.
Well, we'll advertise the Royal Adelaide Wine Show while we're doing it.
There we go. Those guys were just doing was callbacks. So their panel has told them that there's 3 or 4 wines they want to see again, so they'll come back out. So they'll take them, they'll have their little code that tells them we might want wine 7 and wine 18 and wine 22, and we'll mix them up.
So do we know what blend this is, or is that kind of all?
I think it's a Sauvignon Blanc class.
Sauvignon Blanc, ooh.
Yeah.
Oh, not a fan?
Maybe, but the thing again about wine show judging is that you need to put any personal prejudice aside.
Yeah, that's very true.
You know what, sometimes I think it's easier to judge the wine styles that you're not so in love with.
Yeah.
At least you then, you can see certain characteristics in wine. You go, look, I can see why some people really like that. I don't. But so you have to remove any prejudice from your wine show judging and just judge the wine on its merits. It is what it is, and you just got to. Is it a good example?
Yeah, exactly. And everyone's different as well,
yeah.
So everyone's got their own preference.
Is it a good example of the variety? Is it well made? Is it balanced? If it ticks those boxes, then it's worthy of consideration for a medal.
Wow. So they actually pour the little sample.
Yeah. So we pour the callbacks here, but we will pour when we go out. We might see some of it happening when we go out to pour those tables over there. We'll just grab, every steward will grab 2 bottles, in consecutive entry orders, and then we just go out. You'll see the marked tables out there, so we'll all take 2 bottles each out there and pour whatever glass is attached to the number entry that we've got. It's a lot of admin around.
I bet. Organisation.
We've got pretty good at it by now. It's it's a process, but the process works, and then there's a lot of people running around the back here who've been been involved with the show for a really long time. So we sort of know what we're doing by now.
Yeah. So this is probably a silly question, but this is actually closed to the public.
Yeah.
To come and
What is normally open to the public, and in any year other than this one, will be all that stuff you saw out the back. Every entry for this year's, for any year's wine show will be open to a public tasting as well as an exhibitor's tasting. But this year we can't do that with all the restrictions around it.
Exactly.
But every year that there is, and we'll advertise it as we always do, but there is an opportunity to come and taste all these wines and see how they performed at the show, to test yourself against the judges to see if you agree with the judges' determinations or whether they're just full of crap. That's how, you get the chance to come and test yourself and put us and our wine show judges to the test as well.
Ooh, think I might need to go on that.
We'll come and follow you around one day.
Yeah, please do. We have to do a wine show.
And then if you're any good, we'll get you judging here at the show next year.
You know what my keyword would be? That's either punchy or delicious. That's my two words for wine. Delicious, punchy.
If it's delicious, that's a good thing. Punchy, we can take too. Punchy's good.
Perfect. So what happens next?
Let's go out and have a look at some people judging.
Awesome.
Does anyone ever sneak, you reckon? And is there any way they can ever work out what's what?
Nah. So even that sort of back of house area there,
they're not allowed out there?
None of these guys are allowed
past
this
there?
door.
Right.
Even our stewards aren't allowed out there. Only committee members or society staff can go out beyond that little desk area there. So no.
So show us what would happen.
Anonymity is key. So you can see here, this is the Provenance classes. I think these guys have probably just finished. So you see so there's the one entry. That's entry 1A, B, C.
So does it start, I'm just going to guess by the colour, but this is the oldest one?
Yeah.
Yeah?
You know a little bit about this wine stuff. You're good.
I'm just mimicking someone told me. But
it will be. It's the youngest wine, the middle-aged wine and the older wine.
So recent vintage, 5 years, 10 years?
10 years, yep. And so even a little bit before you even start putting the glasses to your nose and to your mouth, you can start picking up some cues. I mean, they all look pretty much colour-wise the way they probably should. I don't think there's anything problematic. There's no really brown older wines.
No, there is some
Quite
difference like that. It's really gold, isn't it?
Yeah. But again, that's entirely appropriate, and that might be one of the older examples of the older wine. And again, the reds all look pretty consistent in colour, and I don't see anything sort of problematic in colour.
So in the reds, they should be the same colour?
Well, no, you should still
a little bit,
a little colour development that's that's entirely consistent with age. But again, if you see something that looks brown, then we know we've probably got a problem. But if you're entering these provenance classes, you have some confidence that your wines have a capacity to age. So
otherwise you wouldn't bother.
No. Yeah. We might, and we do occasionally. Like anything, there's there's better bottles than some. So and that's just the luck of the draw. And with wine shows now, and this in provenance classes, we don't see much cork, in the new release wines at all, really. But in the provenance classes, there might still be some things under cork. But there's a rule pretty much across the wine show circuit these days that there are no callbacks if you think the wine is slightly suspect because of a cork closure. That's just the luck of the draw, because customer could have gone into a shop and bought that wine and had the same issue. So we judge. We judge that way, so there's no callbacks for wines bottled under problematic corks. But they all look, and the older wines in these classes are decanted just before we bring them out for judging, just to get them off a sediment.
Yeah. So just the older ones, or
usually,
Yeah. Whites and reds, or just reds?
Just the reds, really. The reds that might have thrown a bit of a crust.
Yeah.
We decant them off that sediment, but that's the only sort of.
And how long do they get decanted for? Just and then straight into the glass?
Just before we bring them out to pour them. Yeah.
So it's just an aeration, really.
Yeah, just to get them off a sediment.
Yeah.
So it looks like these guys have got through all of this.
Yeah. Just pretend I'm not here.
Sure.
That's what most people usually do.
I can smell your aftershave. It's like it's sort of omnipresent. It's hard to not notice.
Yes. Well, we'll let them have that. We'll do that over here then. Yeah, we're nice fragrant. Yeah, there you are.
So tell me what's going on.
So what's going on here is, like I said, there's obviously 5 entries here, 3 white wine entries, 2 red wine entries that these guys, think are really worth a bit of deeper discussion.
Yeah.
So this is.
And these are the judges for the provenance. So we've got 1, 2, 3.
3 judges. Yeah.
And the boss.
And then Louisa comes in at this stage.
Yeah.
So these guys have done that first round of judging to pluck out the things that they really want to focus on, for the trophy.
Yeah.
And then this is the real art of judging sort of happening here. The discussion that goes on here is really important, quite detailed. Goes into a great level of detail about each of the wines, and then from this we'll get a winner.
Cool.
Yeah. Hopefully consensus, some agreement. Sometimes.
Yeah. So what happens if they don't agree? It's just the boss, whatever the boss says goes.
Yeah, but it's debate, it's discussion, it's persuasion, it's advocacy, it's all these things. But sometimes it might be easy. Sometimes there's something that just
something. Yeah, a winner.
Bang, that's it. Other times,
Now,
these are 3 really experienced judges, or 4 really experienced judges, but they all might come at a slightly different angle. They all might have something that each of them prefers more than the others. But
you wouldn't think traditionally that there would be, out of the 5 wines, 3 whites, would you?
Yeah.
Is it a misconception that white wine doesn't age?
It is a misconception, and I think something about these provenance classes is that I think across the country and across provenance country, prizes around the country, you're seeing white wines do particularly well in these classes, because in this country we make two of the greatest age-worthy white wine styles in the world. Our great Rieslings, particularly these great Clare Valley and Eden Valley Rieslings.
Yeah.
We know they age beautifully. Semillon, famously in the Hunter Valley, but some really notable examples out of the Barossa Valley as well do very well in these classes.
And Chardonnay?
Chardonnay, I can't think of a Chardonnay that's won the Provenance Trophy yet, but I know there is some Chardonnay
Entries?
Yeah. Look, and I think with the huge leaps in quality in Australian Chardonnay we've seen over the last 10, 15 years, I'm sure we're going to start seeing Chardonnays, Friday out with the Rieslings and Semillons in these classes.
Yeah, I'm actually blown away by 3 whites and only 2 reds.
Yeah. Well, again, it's funny, I chair the Barossa Wine Show. We did ours 2 weeks ago, the Provenance classes, and over the last 6 years that they've been doing it, I think they've had white wines win 4 out of the last 6. And everyone thinks about the Barossa as a red wine region, but it also makes some of the most age-worthy white wines on the planet.
Okay, so this place has quite a lot of history.
A lot of history. So again, this wine show happens under the auspices of the Royal Agricultural and Horticultural Society, which has been a hugely important institution in South Australian society for more than 175 years. And this is the 143rd year that we've run a wine show here at, under the auspices of the Royal Agricultural and Horticultural Society. And one of the things we really like about that connection between the wine industry and the society and this wine show is the history that comes with it. And we've got this fantastic archive, and you see some of the photos here of
So who's in the top?
wine show judges of days past. Well, the 3 gentlemen at the top there are a Seppelt, a Grant and a Dolan. It's interesting, this is Colin Grant, who passed away earlier this year in his early 90s. And it's Brian Dolan, isn't it? And whose grandson, Tim, is one of our judges here this year. And the gentleman on the far side, gazing intently at that glass, is our committee member Bill Seppelt's father. So I just like these. It's
quite a bit of history,
That photo is probably 60 years old, but there are still family members of those 3 gentlemen here at the show today. That bottom photo is George Fairbrother and Bryce Rankin. And again, some of the most, Bryce Rankin wrote the book on winemaking in Australia, and George Fairbrother was one of the most esteemed wine show judges of a period where these shows started to really become important, and this idea that a wine show improves the breed. That's that classic agricultural maxim that you have these shows to continually get better at what you do, to improve the breed. And guys like that were absolutely fundamental in establishing a reputation for Australian wine of technical excellence, real quality and attention to detail, and how they ever did it in pissy little glasses like that.
Yeah, I have no idea.
We use a lot better glassware these days, but those guys did an amazing work, and we follow in their footsteps. But the person you should really speak to, and particularly about the Provenance Prize as well, is our former chair of the Wine Show Committee and the current president of the Royal Agricultural and Horticultural Society, and the man to soon have the rosé class named after him.
Oh, rosé. Did you hear that, fans?
Andrew the Ox Hardy. So let's go find Andrew and we'll talk to him.
Yeah, sounds like a plan. Hey, Greg, they're even doing a rosé. Check that out. Well, thank you for joining us, Andrew. Wow, so you've been president for two weeks.
Yeah.
Wow, yeah. Cool. So what does your role kind of involve?
I started out on the wine committee for the show 20 years ago, I think, and gradually that was great fun, but then I was asked to go on the board of the whole society, and I've been chairman of the whole board, and now I've just been voted as president because I think nobody else stuck their hand up. But so president of the society is oversees the control of the board, and it's kind of a very honorary thing. My great-great-grandfather Thomas Hardy was president from 1902 to 1904. So it's quite a nice bit of history there with in the society. Yeah.
Wow, that's really cool. Yeah. And so do you actually get to judge yourself, or you kind of step away from that?
No, we don't. The committee, all of us committee are here during the show this week, and we don't judge. We help but we've all been judges in our own, in different parts of the world and different parts of Australia, so we're all familiar with it, but we will help pour and do all the backroom stuff, which is quite fun.
So who announces the winner?
That's next Friday. That's Friday week.
It's a Friday week, yep.
And we do that with, in this weird COVID time, we obviously can't do it in a normal way. So we normally have a big lunch in here, and some of the prizes are announced there, the trophies. This year it's going to be all no handshakes, not handing any trophies over, but it'll be next Friday.
Next Friday. Yeah. Oh, so wonder who's going to be the lucky winner.
Monday to Friday this week, and then Friday week it's all announced. So yeah.
Oh, so there's quite a bit involved. It just amazes me. So I was saying, like you always see on the bottles like the prize winners, but you never kind of know the process behind it. So it's so fascinating.
It's incredibly complex, and for a wine to go from on the bench to a trophy, or even to a bronze, is a huge compliment, because there's this year 2,800 wines, I think, or something like that. So it's very rigorous, and there's a lot of judges involved. When you saw where the judging's done, it's pretty rigorous. Wow. It's the most rigorous judging in the world, the Australian Wine Show system.
I bet. So tell me about the Provenance prize.
Well, the Provenance prize is a prize, not a trophy, that was dreamed up about, how many years we've been doing it for 10 years. And it's named after Gramp Hardy. It's Gramp Hardy Hill Smith, which is Hugo Gramp, Thomas Hardy and Sid Hill Smith, who died in the Kaimura disaster in 1938. So it's named after those guys. Our main office building, the Secretary's office, is the Gramp Hardy Hill Smith building. They were on their way to Melbourne, on their way to Canberra, for a meeting of ministers with the federal government, and the plane hit a Mount Dandenong, and they all died. Still Australia's worst air disaster. So we decided to call this prize the Gramp Hardy Hill Smith. It's open to any wines in Australia. They've got a current release, a wine 5 years old and a wine 10 years older, and they're judged as a separate panel.
Separate panel,
yeah.
Wow.
And we invite past chairmen of panels to come back and judge it. So really nice prize to win, and some fantastic wines have won it in the past. So,
wow. Is that like a runners-up prize as well, or is it just a one-off?
Just the one-off.
Just the one-off.
Yeah,
wow.
Yeah.
That's a great idea for a show. We might have to feature one of the winners.
Normally the three judges that we asked to judge it, they find their 5 top wines, and then those 5 top wines are announced, and then the winners down the track. So if you want to do a show on that, there's 5 to choose from.
Great idea.
Yeah.
So name me a few previous winners.
Wynn's John Riddock's won it. Tyrrell's have won it, I think, with a Semillon. Naked Run, which is a little winery in Clare, won it with a Riesling a few years ago. Wolf Blast has won it with a grey label, I think. It's all the Richmond Grove. So there's all the really big names in Australian wine that have got provenance, have got back vintages of wines that are still standing up. So, and it's much easier, a lot easier now, because most of the wines are under screw cap, so you're not getting the varies of cork in the older ones, which is kind of neat. So it's good. It's been a very prestigious prize over the years.
Wow, very cool.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for joining us.
Pleasure. Nice to join you too.
So Holly, this is Paul Hotker, who's
nice
panel chair of Panel C. Paul's chief winemaker at Bleasdale in Langhorne Creek. Current reigning Jimmy Watson trophy winner from the Royal Melbourne Wine Show. It's another wine show, not as good as this one, but it does okay. Famous trophy to win. So Paul, hugely experienced winemaker, really experienced wine show judge. That's why we've got him as one of our panel chairs. Looks like he's working his way through some pretty decent reds. What do you got, Paul?
So you've got up to here now?
I've got up to here, 27 Cabernet before lunch. We'll take on 30 before lunch, 30 after lunch, and then find the best ones. You can see, the good wines are still got some good colour, good freshness.
So you judge on colour,
I think that's
taste,
important
smell.
with Cabernet. You can see wines like that where it's just starting to fade a little. And then, if it smells good, then you get wines like this. Colour looks good, but it's corked.
Right,
Oh, no.
Okay, so as I said, explained before, no callbacks. Like I said, there was a choice about what you seal the bottle with.
Wow.
Someone went for cork, they've rolled the dice and lost on that one, so that it doesn't really get...
So the ones you prefer, you keep them closer? Is that how it kind of works?
Yeah,
everyone
I
does
like
it their
to
own different way.
I'm gold, silver, bronze.
Yeah.
I it's just as a guide, that works for me.
Yeah.
Others are all on the paperwork, you know, just in their notes, but I tend to draft things. And
Yeah, and I tend to do the same, the same kind of process. So then you can do a quick pass through everything, and then you come back and
And you
again
come back
have another
and
look
try
at the
again.
ones
Have
that
an
are
olive.
the really a little biscuit or something, some water. But then you come back and really concentrate on the things that you think have real merit.
And we did 2018 Cabernets on the first day, and they have an olive things imported, but all of a sudden everything started tasting like tapenade.
Oh, yeah.
And then come back to them.
Which can be a valid thing, particularly
Well,
Margaret
yeah.
Cabernet and that sort of stuff. I see a bit of that character in those wines. So
I wasn't too sure, so I had to have a yeah.
Wow, such a process.
It
It's
is.
just,
Be number 10.
oh yeah,
Well, let's
that's a good
have a look.
idea.
So the colour's good? Yeah, but it's showing some oxidation, unfortunately. So, it starts to get that caramel character. It's really attractive, but
yeah, it's probably something
It's
you're happy to
fading.
drink on a
barbecue.
Tuesday night as the third wine.
Yeah,
It's not standing out. It
Perhaps, yeah.
hasn't got that punchy flavour,
That's
as I like
right.
to say.
No vibrance. It's losing some freshness.
Yeah.
Drink up. It's a good wine, but drink up.
And that's it. We don't give medals away, for turning up. Even, a bronze medal is a pretty significant achievement in a
I
wine show
bet.
like this.
Especially with all the wines that have been entered.
And then silver even more so than and golds. We tend to, I think, something on average of about 4% of entries.
There won't be many.
So in a class like this, there might be 2 or 3 gold medals. Is a pretty strong performance in a class like this. So we don't just give them away. So even wines that don't necessarily win a medal on the day, there's some really good wines amongst that. They just haven't pushed themselves in front of the pack.
Who was the winner last year? If you can remember.
We'll
come back to it.
It was the
Yeah, we'll come there.
Syrah, 2017.
That's right.
And it was pulled forward by one of my judges.
Oh, there you go. So
There you go.
That's it. That's one thing you'll notice about wine show judges. They'll all, they'll follow. They'll look at the results very closely once we publish them all to go. That came from my panel. That came from my panel. We got that one. Yeah, you take some pride in your work, and that's good. You want that from your wine show judges.
Yeah, you
Because
sure
again,
do.
we don't pay these guys. They do it all of their own.
All for the love of it.
All for the love of it, on their own time. They're taking time away from their businesses, to spend a
And
week
it's
here
good
with us.
sport.
But
Yeah.
it's good sport, and it's good camaraderie. They're all good people here, and we like to hang out.
What you want. Thank you. That was great.
Enjoy your day.
Wow.
We'd love
Well,
to,
you
yeah.
too. It's very, very, very official. Yeah. Keep my shoulders back. Hello. So, you've been around in the industry for quite a while.
Yeah, too long.
Too long?
Getting old in the tooth.
Wow.
What is it? Let me think. 1994, I got thrown out of university and I moved to Sydney. I got a job in a bottle shop because I thought I'd get cheap beer.
Wow, so that's how you kind of
That's
fell
how
in
I
love
fell
with
in love
wine.
with the wine. And from there I ended up working for the best wine merchant in Sydney, and now I then started writing about it. Will be nearly 15, 16 years ago now, sort of first started writing. So I've got a regular column in The Australian.
The Australian.
Right,
yeah.
the Gourmet Traveller Wine Magazine and the Rob Report, anyone that's going to pay me basically. And I've got a column in the Sunday Mail, but that's not about wine, that's just about whatever weird shit pops into my head.
Wow, so do a mixture.
So just keep your eye out for that Nick Ryan byline because it's worth avoiding.
Wow. And are you on social media?
Am I on social media? Yeah, I am. Probably not as well and efficiently as I should be, but yeah, Nick Ryan Wine on Instagram
Nick
and
Ryan Wine.
Twitter. And I think there's a Nick Ryan Wine Facebook page as well. I should have a website. I was on a webinar thing last night. Max Allen and I did a webinar on wine writing last night, and even Max, who I thought was the bigger Luddite than me, even Max has got a website now, so I'll stay tuned.
Wow, cool.
It's in development, the Nick Ryan Wine website.
Awesome. So when you write about wine, are you reviewing wine?
Yeah, look, telling stories about wine really. I don't. So there's always tasting notes and things, but to me, what's in the glass is just part of the story of the wine, and I always think that the wines that I really fall in love with are wines that I've fallen in love with the people that make them and the places that make them. So I think that's I get to write the luxury of writing longer form pieces, an 800 word column or a 2,000 word feature, so you can get into a bit more detail. I think there's a lot to be said for the 50 word tasting note. You can get a lot of information into that, but really that's just the plums and the currants and the chocolate and the spices and the tannins and the acid and that sort of stuff.
There's
But
so much story
wine, right?
behind the
Absolutely.
wine.
And
It's
that's
like its own little
that's what you guys
personality.
do. That's what you guys do. It's what I do. We're all in the business of telling the stories that leap out of the glass, because there are great stories inside each of these bottles, and it's just a matter of diving in and finding them, and that's the fun of it, and that's why we keep doing what we do, Holly.
It sure is.
So that's the whole part of it. The whole love for me from wine comes from the characters that make the wine. And that's why we love our show. We just love letting people meet the winemakers and the people from the wine.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. And that's like one of the reasons we do this show, is because we just love to kind of promote the winemaker, love to talk about the wine, and we're really passionate about this industry.
Look, and it is funny that I always say it's a business that it's like quicksand. Once you fall into it, you don't get out. You don't meet a lot of people that say, I used to work in the wine industry, now I sell toilet paper. You find a lot of people that have sold toilet paper that want to get into the wine industry. So I think it's a job for life once you're in it, and it's a fantastic community. Again, it's
the people we've met and had on the show, such amazing people.
We've got 40 really experienced winemakers and sommeliers and out there judging for us at the moment, and they're all doing it for free in their own time, because the camaraderie that you get in a week like this is fantastic as well. And I do a lot of wine show judging around the country as well, and the reason I do it is it's a chance to spend some time with some really good people. And
we're so lucky in South Australia. Like, we have some of the best wine here. So
that's it. And so this year, even normally that mixture of judges out there would be from all over the country. We always have an international judge as well every year. We usually have a couple of judges over from New Zealand. So this year, only judges from within South Australian borders. So in a lot of places, that would be really hard to find 40 capable, qualified judges. But here in Adelaide, we are blessed that pool we can draw from is deeper here than just about anywhere else. So we've been able to make the most of that this year, and it's paid off.
It sure has. Oh, well, thank you so much for showing us
popping
around and coming on the show. It's been awesome.
I know. So you can go.
I feel like I've learnt so much. I'll be well
pick
prepared.
Up your Birdie Beetle show bag on the way out.
Yes. Oh yeah, the show wasn't on this year.
I know, it's tragic, but there's a whole stash of Birdie Beetle show bags just over there.
Oh, awesome.
No, there's not. I'm lying.
I got excited.
Is there a wine show bag?
Yeah, where's the wine show? Is there a wine show bag?
No? But it is interesting, because we're the only what they call sectional committees, the sections that make up the Royal Agricultural and Horticultural Society, that doesn't run its show while the Royal is on. So all the sheep and the cattle and the pigeons and the dogs and the goats and the grains and all that sort of stuff, that's all judged during the Royal show. But we're the only one, because we take up, as you can see, we take up a lot of space, and this space is better used during the show for show bags. We need to wait traditionally a couple of weeks after the Royal show has been run. And the other thing is, you can imagine...
Then you'll move on in here.
Yeah.
Yep.
And you can imagine with some of the parents that are dragging screaming kids around the Royal show, if they were to ever find out that somewhere on site, on this Wavell site, there were 2,800 bottles of wine just sitting there waiting, we'd have people trying to break in left, right and centre. So we just let the Royal show happen, and then we come in.
Smart idea.
Come in afterwards and do our thing.
Wow. Oh, cool. Well, thank you. Thanks very much. Hello, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good, thank you.
Uselessly interesting fact, how many glasses do you wash in a day?
In a day, anywhere up to about 4,500.
4,500.
Oh,
Do you have to do the dishes when you get home?
No.
No.
so many breakages?
Depends on the year. I think this year there's a lot less because we're not drying them by hand.
Oh, okay.
So there's a little less room for it, but there's only usually one or two.
We don't accept bribes, but we might make a little bit of a exception this week.
I think so.
I think we'll just take these pallets home with us.
That sounds great to me.
All right.
Let's do it.
Let's back the truck up.
How's that? Oh, that was a fun-filled day.
Oh, I feel like drinking.
Oh, yeah.
need a
We didn't
wine.
get to
need a
taste
wine.
any. But...
That was absolutely amazing.
It was-
blew me away.
I know.
How nice were the winemakers?
So everyone was so friendly and down
Well,
to earth.
not everyone.
Oh,
Not
most
everyone.
of them.
Majority
You
of
did-
them.
yeah,
I did
that's
get
true.
told off.
Majority.
I don't like getting told off. I've never been wrong.
Well, you smell nice. Maybe
True.
that's
True. Maybe it was a bit too much after the show.
Yeah, I think
but
so.
Nick Ryan, massive shout out again.
Legend.
Thank
Thank
you for taking us around, sharing his pool of knowledge,
So much knowledge.
or his vat of knowledge.
That's more fancy.
Great bloke. Great
Awesome
bloke.
bloke.
We could have not even gone and just let him do it.
I know.
He was like the star of the show.
He
wasn't
really was.
And Karina for helping us out, doing a
Exactly.
tasting and watching.
Yeah.
And what was your highlight?
I was just about to ask you the same thing.
Yeah?
What was my highlight? I think it was really interesting to see the actual process of how they judge it. So
Yeah.
based on the scent and the taste, and they have like their, like 12 I think they do at a time. I can't remember the exact number.
Yeah,
But just to
totally.
see how each person kind of judges it differently.
And on
Like
the-
everyone's so different.
On the checkers board?
Yeah.
I'll pull that one forward. I like that one. No, I don't like that one. The colour's not right.
Yeah, exactly. So that was probably the highlight for me. And
So it was similar to the show in a way. It was colour,
yeah,
smell,
yep,
taste.
taste.
My favourite bit was a Provenance Award. The three wines.
3 wines,
Over
that's
a 15-year period. So
Yeah,
your
that was
winery
very
has to
cool.
be around for a fair while, I guess.
Yeah.
And the 3 wines are judged on how much they've changed or not changed over that 15-year period. We're pretending like we knew what we were talking about, saying, oh, look at the colour in the whites have got a lot, you know.
I think they thought we were
They've yellowed off a
experts.
lot over the... Yeah, we're just making it up as
Yeah.
we went along. But it was very interesting that I would think that would be dominated by red wines.
Yeah.
But out of the 5 finalists, we're allowed to say who was it, the finalists? Oh, out of the 5 finalists, 3 of them were white wines, which was blew me away.
Yeah, me too.
And obviously they're aging very well, and the colour looked a lot different. In the reds looked the same, but the whites looked a lot different. They
Well,
yellowed
some were
off.
very clear, and then it went more yellow.
But supposedly the taste was similar. So that for me was my highlight.
was your
And
highlight?
I know I was hinting, but we're going to do a show on it. We're going to do the Provenance show. Yeah, we're going to have to.
Oh,
aren't
we have to. How can we not?
The finalists. So we'll have to maybe get Nick to
chase
help
them
us.
up. Yeah.
Nick to help us get the 3 finalists, and we'll get their wines on, and we'll maybe get a wine connoisseur to come on with us and explain to us why these wines were the finalists.
Cool. No, that
sounds
great.
like a good show.
Sounds like a great show.
Speaking of good shows,
Oh, we have so much coming up.
well, let's start with next week. What's on next week?
Next week, I swear,
Pyramima?
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 And we'd have to
Super
say
exciting.
a little bit of history on the place. The second oldest winery in McLaren Vale, only by a couple of months. So K Brothers were
Very
first.
cool.
I was saying, talking it up to the boys that Pyramima was first, but no, they're second. And they've got they've got a great story.
I'm excited to check out the venue.
So we're going to be live from there next week. Yep. Back to 8 o'clock on Wednesday nights because of daylight saving.
savings.
Yeah. Who doesn't love daylight savings?
It's the best.
So after them, we are going to head to where?
Where are we next? We're going to do a Peel Street special, which I'm really excited about.
Right. Which we should have already done, but
Yeah, but we've
weather
had a bit of,
permitting.
rain,
Weather permitting.
sunshine. So we are going to 3 different bars.
3 different. Oh, that sounds good.
I know. So we're with Tom Smith. So he's one of my high school mates, which is really cool, and I'm stoked to have him on the show.
So he's just out of high school.
Gee.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, I'm going to take that as a compliment,
Well,
Nathan. Thank you.
You better, because you won't get many. But 3 bars. We're starting off at my favourite bar, my pick, the sports bar.
The sports bar, we are.
Wing it.
Wing it. You
Wing
got
it.
it. Wing it sports bar.
So, big beers and spicy wings while watching some gridiron.
Oh, it sounds great fun.
Oh, that sounds awesome. Sounds like a treat.
Yeah, sounds
And
like
then,
a treat.
and then,
And then we're going to La Rambla, so it's a Spanish tapas bar.
great. Spanish wine?
Spanish wine. Sangria. Is that Spanish? Yeah.
Yeah. Sangria.
Awesome,
Oh,
sangria.
there's lots of nice Spanish wines. Yes. Okay, we'll have to go top
Get
of the
some
range.
olives with that one.
Top
as
of the
well.
range. and
Top
some
of the
tapas.
range.
Some
Tapas.
tapas.
Yes.
And then where we're going to finish off?
Then we're heading to Therapy Cocktail Bar. So, you a cocktail fan?
Sure.
What's your favourite cocktail?
Fluffy duck.
What is Fluffy Duck?
I don't know.
You just made that up. So, cocktail bar.
Fluffy duck is definitely. So, what's your favourite cocktail?
My favourite. Oh, see, I'm not much of a cocktail fan.
What?
No.
You just haven't had a
No,
good
no,
one.
I don't like sweet things, but I do like a Negroni.
A green.
Negroni, have you had that? No. I don't know what's in it. It's super strong,
Right.
but it's delicious.
I actually like an old fashioned, which is like.
Old fashioned's nice. I like old fashioned too.
All
Yeah.
right. So, we're going to let them decide what cocktail we're having, or we're going to pick one each.
Oh, I think he's going to decide.
Ooh.
So maybe he'll convert me.
So,
Maybe
Peel
he'll,
Street. So, into the CBD.
into the CBD.
And I guess we need to mention to people, if you've got a favourite winery, like Luke Harris from Gone Able Tours, he's going to take us on another tour.
He sure is.
And he's going to take us to his favourite wineries. If you've got a favourite winery or a must visit
Yeah,
for SA
please let
Wine
us
Weekly,
know.
let us know.
Yeah, we'd love to go.
Send us an email.
Send us an email, even contact us via Instagram, Facebook,
Tweet us.
tweet us.
Yeah.
Yep.
Message us on LinkedIn.
TikTok.
TikTok. Send us a TikTok on SA Wine Weekly TikTok. People won't believe us, but
Yeah.
well,
Go check out my dancing.
their kids might know. Yeah. So, what a massive few months we've got coming up on SA Wine Weekly.
Few months.
I think we have to do a huge shout out to all of our followers and supporters that have supported us from day one, or jumped on the wagon recently when we've got a little bit better. Without you, we wouldn't have a show. So, and thanks to Channel 44.
Thank you. Yeah, we've got some very exciting things happening.
We have got some very exciting things happening. Stay tuned. And before we go, we want to thank all the people behind the scenes that have been helping out, because everybody's been working for nothing, because there isn't any sponsorship or monetisation as yet. But people have been putting in hours and hours and hours, not just us two, but people behind the scenes. Listen, Adriana and Aiden, who have been doing all the filming, all the editing. Taylor, the glue.
Taylor.
Just does everything for us.
She sure does.
All the social media, all the communication.
She's on it.
And then another big shout out to Sally as well. He doesn't even work for us. He's organised the Riverland trip.
Really looking forward to meeting you, Sally.
Yeah. So all our supporters, thanks very much. And just tell 10 other people to watch. Stay tuned, 8 o'clock Wednesdays, whether we're live or not. Shows will be released 8 o'clock Wednesdays. And Channel 44 is Thursdays at
7 p.m.
And then they're actually replaying us as well.
Replays, yeah. So Wednesdays at 5 p.m.
So yeah, big shout out to Channel 44 and everyone there. Thanks for supporting us, supporting local South Australian businesses. Stay tuned, lots to come.
Just did you pick all the Pinots?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, you do.
It was a hint. It was a
hint.
The Pinot Show.
Ah.
So I think what we might do is pick the best Pinots from around the world and get somebody who knows what they're talking about in.
Let's do it.
Let's do it, the Pinot
Let's go.
Show.